All right. Next team we have here is Texas A&M. Obviously, they are no no stranger to offseason hype, like I said before. But this year feels different. This year feels different. Jimbo
Just
Fisher
like
out the
last
door,
year.
just like it's been every year. But there's some structural changes and visible changes that have happened that lead you to believe this team can really turn that corner and really utilize the talent that it's had for so long there now. Texas A&M went 7-5 last year. Obviously, battled injuries, the quarterback position, obviously battled suspensions and other things going on there with Jimbo Fisher. You get a head coach getting fired middle of the season. Now you bring Mike Elko, pretty darn good staff and a really good transfer portal, which we've talked about in earlier videos, which I encourage you to look at after this video is over. Their over-winning total is 2024 is 8.5. 8.5. That includes an out-of-conference game against Notre Dame, right? Obviously at home, which is going to be a fired-up battlefield. And then you welcome in Texas to the SEC. You get them, and the end they're bookended Notre Dame and Texas, two teams that are going to be fighting for playoff spots. How do you think this year plays out for Texas A&M? What gives you
Well,
optimism that they're on this list? That's more like it.
here's the thing. What are their four toughest games on the schedule?
It's probably Notre Dame, right? It's probably Missouri,
Yep.
LSU, and
Yep.
Texas. And I see where you're going with this.
And all those games are at home. Every single one of those. Even Jimbo Fisher had an incredible record at home. It's besides the one blunder against App State, right? He had an incredible record.
Wait,
Specifically against top 25 teams, Jimbo Fisher was electric at home and abysmal on the road. I don't even think he ever won. I don't know that he ever won. Maybe his first year he won a top 25 game on the road, but it is, if there was a win, it was maybe one, right? So you like that. There's a lot of new hype in this area. Like Cal Field is going to be electric, right? And here's the other difference too. The last 2 years, okay, when we talked about this hype, okay, I think we talked about this hype assuming that we were going to get healthy quarterbacks both years. And that has not happened.
yes.
Actually, the last 3 years, it has not happened. So if you ask me, A, Connor Wigman is really good. Okay. Let's just let's get that out of let's stop ranking him like 10, 11, 12 in the quarterbacks in the SEC. Let's start treating him like a top six, top seven quarterback, at least in the SEC. I get it's a
With
small
room to
sample
grow,
size
for sure. With room to
with
grow.
room to grow. And by the way, I think there's, you're like, hey, oh, they lost Evan Stewart at receiver. Oh, they lost Anaya Smith at receiver. Okay, go watch the Texas Bowl. Watch these receivers just ball out. You had like four scholarship receivers playing in that game, and they all balled out. And then not include Cyrus Allen, 70% contested catch rate. Hank Bachmeier, I think, had 114 passer rating passing to Cyrus Allen. And Lord knows he did not have 114 passer rating throughout the season. All right. So I think offensively, there's a lot of hope there. You're just praying that you get something on the offensive line, right? You got a lot of pieces in there. You bring in Adam Cushing, who's had success with lesser talent. Defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of question marks. The one question mark that you don't have is on the defensive line, and it's just going to build out from there. Like, can they improve in the secondary? Which I don't know. I think they can. So that is why this team is on this list. It's like they have probably, if you're looking at it, a top 6 or 7 roster in the entire country.
I won't argue with you there. I do think top 10 at least for sure. And that's
Okay.
part of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
Jimbo Fisher has done recruiting wise, but also with that transfer portal class that they brought in. And what I love about it is you saw a lot of really, really good players walk out the door, right? Not only the NFL draft, McKinley Jackson, Anaya Smith, guys that have been staples for you for a while now. Damani Richardson maybe regressed a little bit, but also played a ton of football for you. Edge Cooper, not to mention maybe a first round linebacker there for you. And obviously, not to mention the portal exodus that happened, once Jimbo left, and obviously the high end guys, Evan Stewart, you had Fadil Diggs, LT Overton, not to mention Walter Nolan, as well as some other guys. But to me, I just think this team is so deep. And I just think they have not been, to me, they have not been this deep in a while. And I think that's super impressive in year one of a coaching staff with all this turnover. And I know that the transfers have to hit and they have to mesh with the new coaching. A lot has to happen. But to me, on paper wise, the two deeps feel super, super good. And that's why you give me confidence that the bottom won't fall out this year. Not only because you get the stability, and to me, the floor raiser that Mike Elko is, but obviously, I'm sorry, the depth there. And you mentioned quarterback injuries, right? Connor Wigman is I think, a rising star in the SEC. I'm as high on him as just about anybody else. I know you're super high on him. You've been high on him for a while now. But Jalen Henderson behind him is really, really good. Marcel Reed, we saw him in the bowl game, really flash some really nice things. Now, obviously, you got to keep those guys through spring practice and into the fall camp. We'll see what happens there with the spring portal window. But where we stand right now, it's hard not to be optimistic about this A&M football team, and they're doing it the right ways. They're built, from the inside out, in my opinion, and with depth And to me, that combined with not a manageable or easy schedule by any stretch of imagination. Anytime you have to play Notre Dame, Missouri, LSU, Texas Longhorns, and just sprinkle in, at Auburn and obviously at South Carolina, who you've had problems with in the past now.
No, it's 1 year.
Um,
You're like
I
nine
think it
and
was
one
two
against them.
years. I think it was 2 years. I thought it was
No, it's just 1 year. I'm telling you, it's just one
okay.
year.
We'll see. But regardless, to me, I think
Also,
there's so much reason to be optimistic.
try this on for size two, and you like to play the if then what game or whatever. But like the Miami game, the momentum shifted on that kickoff return that you let up for a touchdown. In the Tennessee game, you give it the punt return for a touchdown. You didn't have a special teams coordinator, and now all of a sudden you bring Patrick Doherty. Sorry, Patrick Doherty. Gosh, I gotta practice saying that. Maybe you can actually have some improvement on special teams. Maybe, just maybe, you can get some improvement on that special teams because it was pretty abysmal last year. Plus, Tyler White's coming in as a punter, #1 rated punter in the country a couple years ago. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, definitely on the watch list for potentially most improved team in 2024.